All right, so this video will focus on graphs and data and just the way that sometimes newspapers or magazines or even the news will try to sway you a certain way to make a point by projecting data that isn't necessarily true. So the very first thing I want to do is I'm going to kind of open this up here. So I have a calculator on one side and this on this side. And it says that there's a total of this many kids, right? So there's sixth graders, seventh graders, and eighth graders. So I have 300 plus 390 plus 310. So altogether, there's a total of 1,000 kids. And if I take this and I take 390 divided by 1,000, well, that will be 39%, 31%, and 30%, right? And that's how I can actually represent all the data here. For this one, there's 20 kids surveyed, and here are the various colors. So 7 divided by 20 equals 35%, and I keep on doing that. I make my little table here, and here's what I'd get for it. Now, if you want to figure out how big these sections are, just so you know, you take 0.35 times 360, and it's 126 degrees. So this would be a 126-degree angle. If you want to figure out what this is, you would take like 0.15 times 360, and this should be like a 54-degree angle, and so on. And that's how you can figure out 360 degrees accurately. So how do you display data in a way that helps make decisions? We have to be fair, right? So here is something here, and it says that we're going to look at all this data and look at all these different animals that were killed. It's a really happy survey here. But we're looking at, and it looks like there's a lot of mammals that are killed out of all the dead animals. So things that are kind of like going across the road. This is a roadkill survey. Here is the data that show the number of black bears killed in the state roads between these years. If you look here, it appears like there is more and more bears getting killed as we go. So you might want to show like a bar graph or a histogram or some sort of data to show that this is increasing over time. And it's probably because the population is going up. And that's what we're going to really talk about in this. So if we look at this here, I have quiz scores and grades. And it says, which choice should you use to display the data? I'd probably use a bar graph for this one. I'd take, quiz 1, quiz 2, so I could accurately display the data that's going on here. So you can also do a stem and leaf, box and whisker plot. It's really up to you how you do it. Here are the various kinds of graphs. Let's go through these real fast. A pictograph using the pictures, the bar graph, which will do a lot of data, the circle, the line plot that shows over time, a histogram, stem and leaf plot. So again, it's in order from least to greatest. Box and whisker plot, where I have my interquartile range. This is 50% of my data, 25 on the high end, 25 on the low end. A dot plot to show times each value occurs. So this is like a scatter plot perhaps. And that's what I have here. So it says choose the appropriate data display for each situation. So the number of students in a marching band each year. Well, this is changing, right? So a line shot will show change over time. So it's an appropriate display. A comparison of people's shoe sizes by their heights. You're comparing two different things here, right? And they probably are directly correlated is my guess. So I'd do a dot plot. Next one here is choose an appropriate one for this one. So the population of the United States divided into age groups. Well, what would be a good one of these to do? If I'm dividing by age groups. So maybe a bar graph would be a good one, right? So I have histograms, bar graphs, same interval. Percent of students who play basketball. So it might be a circle chart or a bar graph. This here it says I have I have the number of hits for a school website in a 5-month period of time. So here's the data. Here are the different things to show that data, and I want to see if they're true, if they're good representations. So here I have the months, I have the months, I have the clicks, I have the clicks. This one here talks about the frequency of the number of hits, but I have no idea in terms of what month it occurs. So this is not a good one. And this one here kind of shows over time. It looks like the scale is fair. So I'd say that A and C are good indications. Are appropriate. This one here talks about a dot plot. What would be a good example of a dot plot? A circle graph or a stem and leaf? Well, for the dot plot, it wouldn't make sense for this one because it doesn't show the number of hits changed over time. That's what I want to kind of see, right? How it's going up. A circle graph could kind of work for each month. I could say like divide it by August, September, and I would have bigger percentages, right? And then for a stem and leaf, it doesn't really matter because I don't want them in order. I want to know which month I had the most clicks. So which one is misleading if I look at these two? If you look here, there's this little break. So it almost looks like there's a huge increase, but really I'm just going from 9 to 10, right? It's not that big, but it looks huge. So this is a misleading graph. These actually indicate the same information. This is more realistic. If you looked at a newspaper or a magazine, if they're trying to prove a point that things are going up fast, they probably will show you this graph, even though it's the same as this. So it's misleading. This one here, a volunteer concludes that the number of cans of food and boxes of food donated were about the same. Is this conclusion accurate? Well, if you look here, here's the canned food, here's the box food. Although they go about the same distance across, it's not really true. I mean, these are just wider, right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's like 220. And here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 120. So there's 100 more here, even though they're just narrower. So it is not accurate. All right, this one here, is this misleading for concert ticket prices? There's a few things. Number one, there's a break here. So it looks like this is a significant increase. It's only $5 or $15 in this case. So that's a little bit misleading because it looks a lot more than that. And the second thing is that these tickets are a lot wider, aren't they? They just look weird. So this is a one that is not very good. Company profits, if I look here, so this is billions of dollars per year. Again, I have a bar that's wider than the rest. I'm not sure why, but it looks misleading. It looks like it's 5-year, it's going up more. So they're both kind of misleading in a sense. And that's really the lesson for the day. So you have to be careful of what you see in the newspaper or magazine.